Emma, how are you? Thank you so much for joining me on Books and Booktok. This is the second episode. I can't believe we're having a second episode. How are you keeping today?
I'm good. I'm so excited to be here and chat all things books. Any excuse to yap, I'm in.
I'm so excited that you're coming on. There's so much to ask you. Your accounts are absolutely incredible. Your book recommendations are so different than all the other accounts that I personally look at. So I was really excited when you agreed to come on. We have loads of questions for you today. First of all, we'd love to know who you are behind the camera, what it is you do in your spare time. Who is Emma O'Connell behind the Booktok account?
So I am a radio presenter. I do news and sport, and I'm also used to be a drama teacher as well. And I'm 25. And I feel like I've lived a whole life because I've had like 17 different jobs. Someone actually, oh my God, they commented on one of my videos being like, I feel like you've like 7 different jobs. Because I did like a vlog and I was like, oh, okay, I can see how that can be perceived. I was also a competitive dancer growing up, which is actually kind of how I stopped reading because I was training so much. And then it wasn't until COVID when everything slowed down that I was like, oh, I'm going to give this thing a go again. And I had like, I call it a renaissance because I think that's a prettier word than just saying I got into reading again. And I started reading like mad. And yeah, then I just started getting all my recommendations from the same places. And that's kind of how I fell in love with the community. So yeah, I
Oh,
have a degree in social science and
wow.
I was going to do a master's in psychology, but I've actually put that on the back burner now that I'm training with Red FM in Cork. And I also work in a clothes shop as well.
Oh
Hence
my
why I
God.
have like 1,000 things going on.
Congratulations on your presenting job. That is
Thank you so
absolutely
much.
incredible. Absolutely amazing. You have a really busy life.
Yeah, like a lot of it are side quests. I will say a lot of things that happen to me just are born out of side quests. And I'm like, oh, I'll just
Okay.
see what happens. Because I went to college, I had kind of a plan. I had applied for a
Yeah.
conversion course that I didn't get. And I had
Okay.
been so tunnel visioned at this point that I was like, oh my God, my life has been upended. But I'd actually been teaching in my old studio at the same time. And I said, look, I'll just go full time here, train there for the year, got my
Yeah.
qualifications as a drama teacher. And then I just kept teaching and I stayed there full time for about 2 or 3 years. But then I actually had spine surgery last year and it took me out of the running of everything. My whole
Oh,
life changed.
okay.
So I've had to leave my teaching job and hence why I was kind of doing a little bit of everything, got into Red FM, which has just been the craziest adventure. And then as well, I'm in a clothes shop, lovely Satin Town.
Oh
So
my
yeah, a
God,
wild 12
Emma.
months.
Spine surgery. Was there much recovery in that?
Yeah, so my anniversary is actually tomorrow, funnily enough. My one
Oh,
year, I had a severe scoliosis, so I had to get that corrected.
wow.
So I now have a fully metal spine the whole way down, which is cool.
Oh my
I
God.
don't bend, I can't like arch. So like we'll say if I'm sitting on a bus and I want to bend to get my bag, I can't because I can't like bend my back in. Like you don't realize that you do
Yeah.
it. But the recovery was long. I will say I felt human quite quickly. So like recovery is long, but I felt like myself quite
Okay.
faster than I thought I would. So at least I
Yeah.
was able to kind of do things that kept me going. Like I had so many book things, and it also gave me the time because it does go hand in hand with my book page. It gave me the time
Yeah.
to dedicate to reading more books. We all have busy lives, as we've clearly established, but
Yeah.
it was like the one time I was forced to slow down and I got to put time into my content. I got to take days a lot slower because I had to. My body couldn't keep up even if my brain wanted to.
Yeah.
So it kind of all goes hand in hand. But yeah, crazy few months.
Oh my God, that's amazing. Jesus, you must have been in a lot of pain. Were you in a lot of pain before you had your surgery?
Yeah. So I really, in the
Yeah.
months kind of leading up to it, I was waiting for about 7 years to have it done.
Okay.
So I
Wow.
started to develop scoliosis when I was 12. So I was
Yeah.
waiting 12 years till from like when I developed it, but 7 years from when I was told I needed surgery. And I started to lose kind of the ability to sit up on my own without being in loads of pain, which is obviously when
Oh
you're
God.
25, really hard to take because
Yeah.
it's like, I should not feel this like
No.
imprisoned in my own body. Like this is
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
something anyone should have. But like at 20, like at this stage, I was 23 when I started emailing my doctor being like, what is going on here? So once I had the surgery, I was kind of like, I'm going to have to accept that I'm going through one of the worst ones you can go through, but
Yeah.
knowing that eventually it'll benefit me down the line someday. I'm still inching towards that day, but we're getting there.
Wow. Wow. And do you know what? It's these things that you don't actually realize that are going on in people's lives behind the camera. Like we only see like a quick snippet of people's lives when we're creating content. I never would have known that you had surgery last year. That's
Yeah,
incredible. Like,
like one of my videos I actually posted like 3 days post-op. Now, I put up
okay.
a few different videos about my surgery, but I put one
Yeah.
up about my Bose at Home series. And like you wouldn't have known it, but I was like that was my like only chance to stand up that day because I was only home a few days from
Oh my
hospital. It was the
God,
Saturday.
Emma.
So I would only been home 5 days and I was filming being like, this is how you say this Irish name. So, but like it gave me so much solace to actually feel like I had something to work towards because obviously I was out of college. I wasn't studying anything directly. So it's hard to feel like when you've that much time off. And a big one people kept saying to me was, oh, what are you going to do with all this time? And there was a lot of
Yeah,
pressure on me to make it worth it, you know, because it's an unprecedented situation. You find yourself in to be out of work for 7 months. Like everyone's like, what are you going to
that's
do?
yeah.
And
It's
it
a
was,
lot.
yeah, and it was just kind of stressful for people being like, what are you going to make of yourself? And the
Mm.
biggest one I got was, are you going to write a book? And I was like, that is not where my expertise lie. I like to be on the other side of things, but
Yeah.
obviously it gave me time to put my energy into book talk. So I think like I think that's why I'm so grateful that I have book talk on the biggest pedestal it possibly can be on because of what
Yeah.
it did for me that last year.
Wow, yeah, it's a great community. It's a great community full of supportive women, like, so I can only
Mm.
imagine the support you got from that. Going back to maybe your reading in general, what was it that started reading for you? When you were a little girl, did you have like, are you a Harry Potter girl? Was it
I
Twilight?
have,
Was it,
you know what? Okay, it was all of those things, I will
yeah.
say. And I did read Twilight at the age of 11, which I like
Oh,
to look back on and go, oh,
yeah,
okay. I was in
yeah,
fifth class getting ready for the
yeah,
nativity and also reading New Moon.
yeah.
But so it's one of those ambiguous ones of should I have been doing that? Was it probably just going over my head? Also, yes. But I remember when I was younger, I used to love Saturday afternoons going into the library. My dad would bring me down. There was one used to be just down by my
Mm.
house
Yeah.
and getting like the famous 5 books. And I have distinct memories of getting one of them. And then I used to love like the Felicity Wishes books, Rainbow Magic. Like I always laugh. Oh, Holly Webb is a huge one for me as a child. Any like the Lost Puppy, the Kitten in the Snow, anything like that. That was just the same animal in a different in peril situation, and
Oh.
a little girl saves them, kind of thing. And then I remember reading. I actually didn't read like the Percy Jacksons, the Harry Potters till I was in my 20s. I
Wow.
Yeah, I read Skullduggery Pleasant as a child. I read Darren Shan. Like, because I have a brother and he's older than me, it was all his
Yeah.
books. The first ever, and for some reason I remember my first ever book that I read that wasn't like in school. It was technically a picture book, but it was like a novel, was
Mm.
Charlie the Great Glass Elevator. I was
Wow.
7 and I just ran into my brother's room and said, is I'm reading the book. I don't know why I did it. I remember it was during the summer and I found it and I was like,
Yeah.
I'm going to read a book. I must have been younger than 7. I'd say I was like 6. And obviously I've been
Wow.
reading in school and I was like, I'm reading this book. So then I did the thing where, you stay up past your bedtime reading and you're hiding the books under your pillow as
Yeah.
if your
Yeah.
parents would care. But it's like, no, my parents were delighted I was reading. Do you know, like I feel like I'm smuggling
Yeah.
drugs in my room here. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, but then, like I said, I read Twilight, Divergent, John Green, big fan of John Green as a teenager. But from like 16 onwards, I kind of stopped because I was training
Yeah.
competitively. I went to the World Cup. I was doing a lot with
Mm.
dancing and it left
Wow.
it left
Right,
little
right.
to no free time.
Let's just pause now, right, about the
Okay.
reading. You went to the work. What? Girl, tell me about
Yeah.
this.
So we were the first Irish team to qualify for the Dance World Cup back in
Wow.
2018. So
Wow.
I went to that. So as soon as we qualified, it was just all hands on deck training. And I was also a competitive cheerleader, which is another fun one to tell people. I was competing about 2 or 3 times a year, and I was on multiple different teams. So my training would be 6 or 7 hours long on a good day. Like, um, so yeah, lots going on.
Yeah, so the reading
uh,
really did get a pause. Like
this is it.
that's
Like I
amazing.
just about had enough in me to do my homework when I'd come home.
Yeah.
And even that was a bit of a push because I was also an actor and I was in lots of shows and I was learning my lines and there was so many other things that I was devoting my time to. It really did feel like reading was just not something I could do. But
Yeah.
then I do have little bits like it never fully left me. Like I got Asking for It by Louise O'Neill for Christmas when I was 17. I read it in a day. It was one of the
Wow.
best books I'd read. It was one of those books that I remember going, wow.
Yeah.
In terms of books, as much as I recommend the book, it was terrifying because of the contents. I think if you know what it's about, the term asking for it is used in one very specific circumstance to do with women and consent. And I think
Yeah.
that's enough to tell you what the book is about. But the main character was called Emma from Cork.
Okay.
So it added a layer to like my brain of like, what?
Yeah.
And obviously the book is all like, who do we believe? Was she asking for it? And
Mm.
just, but it was one of those moments that I remember that this is reading because I think reading just evokes a reaction. It doesn't have to be oh, I feel so good now I read that book. Reading just evokes reactions. And
It
that's one of
does,
those
yeah.
really pivotal moments. But then in college, I did social science and all of that was political science and Irish politics. very heavy historical
Yeah.
like research was done, the Catholic Church, a lot of different abuses in different areas in Ireland. And again, I
Yeah.
was reading things like that. I just found it very hard to then go, I'm going to read a romance now, because it just
Yeah.
felt a bit too like, whoa, my this is too much. I just kind of would rather watch a movie or a
Yeah.
TV show. But then I remember my boyfriend said to me in first year of college, like, you should read Harry Potter. And I was like, oh, fine. As if I'd
Oh,
care. I was like, oh, fine, I guess.
yeah.
And it was January 2020. So COVID hadn't really hit at this stage. And I actually got appendicitis. So I had a little bit of time and nothing too crazy, just a little bit of appendicitis. And so I read Philosopher's Stone in hospital. And I was like, oh, this is kind of fun.
Yeah.
I'd seen the movies. I could imagine everything going on. And I finished that. And then when COVID happened, I remember I got a deal. It was a €20 on Bookstation for all of the Percy Jackson books. My boyfriend loved Percy Jackson. I said, perfect, I'll read those.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, it was a 2021. I was in Bookstation and I saw a book. It was The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. And I went, I've seen that everywhere. Like, it's on my TikTok. And at this point, like, let it be known, BookTok hadn't infiltrated my TikTok algorithm at all.
Okay.
So for a book to kind of appear on my page, it was like, wow, like, this is clearly getting a lot of hype if it's just miraculously
Yeah.
ended up here. It's a bit out of pocket for me. And I said, it's only a tenner. I'll give it a go. And I picked it. I remember reading it on the bus. I was going up to My Chemical Romance in Dublin that day. And unreal.
I walked down the aisle to the Black Parade. Emma,
Stop.
I did. It was my wedding song.
No, I've seen them live twice. I saw them when I was 10
Oh
in
my God.
2010.
Oh, oh
There's
my
a little
God, that's
Bobby
amazing.
screaming from in the crowd. But yeah, I
Yeah.
was going up to them and there's me reading The Love Hypothesis, as if you can get any different. But I was reading it and I was having such a good time that I was like, I'm sad that my journey has come to an end. Like, I have to put this book away. So
Yeah.
then I figured, TikTok seemed to be the place that gave me this recommendation. I'll just see if it's got any more for me. So my start to book talk reading was very as predicted. I'm not going to claim to
Yeah.
have any nuanced, fresh. I happened to, like, you might have heard of this book, the Bible. Like, I'm not going to try and be like different. And
Yeah.
I've been like a crazy person since. I could go from reading one book in 2 weeks to like 3 books in 4 days. Like, it really does depend on the mood. But now I read a lot, as you can probably tell.
Do you feel the pressure to read like that? Like, because I can find myself sometimes as well.
Mm.
I'll get into these book slumps where I could read one book a week and I mightn't read anything for 2 or 3 weeks because I'm in such a book slump. But then I could binge read 4 or 5. Do you find when you're doing book talk that you are under pressure to get these read and actually get like content out? Or are you just kind of
No,
chill?
I completely feel it. And a big one I
Yeah.
find is sometimes I start a book and I wonder, oh my God, what if there's a different book I should be reading?
Yeah.
What if this isn't a book people will want to hear about? And I don't
Yeah.
let it affect me. And I don't want to say that it authenticates my content, but it definitely is like a tiny voice. Like, I'm reading The Rebel and the Rose by Catherine Doyle. Phenomenal. It's the second book in her
Yeah.
trilogy. It's
Okay.
incredible. Irish author, love her. But I remember I picked it up and within 2 pages I was going, okay, it's a thick fantasy book. You have to dedicate a
Hmm.
lot of time to this. And I was going, oh, should I be reading Half His Age by Jeanette McCurdy? Because that's new. That's a bit fresher.
Yeah.
And I do have that kind of
Hmm.
internal battle with myself, because I think as a reader, we all agree, we all want to read all of the books. And time
Yeah.
isn't a finite resource. Yeah.
Yeah, I find though, Emma, and I think this is why Book Talk has been so successful for you, especially because you have a really large following on Book Talk at the minute. And I think it's mainly down to the fact that you do read such different books in comparison to a lot of the trending books that are on Book Talk at the minute. And I personally love that. I love when you post your videos and I can actually get some really good recommendations, some Irish authors. Like, I love that because I personally, as a reader, want to do more of that stuff myself. But you do have that worry that, okay, if I post this video, is it going to get views and engagement and likes? Because for me, and I've said this in the previous episode, my indie recommendations are like that. If it's not a trending book, they're the worst views for me on my account. So you always kind of have that. I would kind of feel that pressure that you have to be reading the trending books. You have to be, and like, it's not necessarily something that you want to be doing all the time. But I think that's what has worked for you with your account. I think that you're so different than some of the other accounts that are on Book Talk, because like that you get a trending book and everybody's reading and reviewing and everybody's reading and reviewing, but you have extremely good recommendations. You have
Thank you.
amazing recommendations. So I think it's working for you. Whatever
I
it
really
is you're
appreciate
doing is
that. Thank you.
definitely working with you.
Thanks.
What was it that inspired you to start Book Talk?
I remember I'd gotten, obviously, I basically used it as my
Hmm.
source of books. Everything I was reading, I was
Okay.
getting through books, and I was kind of going, like, I loved videos that were like, if you loved this, you should try this.
Yeah.
And I love, obviously, books are subjective. And the
Yeah.
reason you mightn't like a book and you put up a video being like, I hated this book because
Yeah.
it was too slow and the characters didn't get together quick enough, or I just contradicted myself, but you know what I mean? Like, but that could be the reason I decide to go, wait, I prefer books that are slow. You could,
Yeah.
one man's trash is another man's treasure.
Yeah.
And that's why I love that at least at Book Talk, you can be honest about the book because you know that you're not trying to turn someone off the book. You're just saying, as a person, because people kind of know what to expect. They might know if they've gotten loads of recommendations off me about this specific type of sports romance. And then I say, I didn't like this sports romance. They might go, oh, maybe it's not for me. Maybe it is. That's kind of why I love it. But like I said, I'd gotten so many from Book Talk that I'll talk for Ireland. I love talking, obviously. And like I was a drama teacher and a performer. I don't mind speaking out
Yeah.
with people. So that wasn't necessarily too far out of my comfort zone. It was different, but it wasn't foreign, we'll say. And I had applied for an Arc of a Carly Jean book. I found her on
Okay.
Kindle Unlimited 3, 4 years ago now. Promise me,
Hmm.
I loved that book so much. And it was one of those books that reminded me how fun reading can be. And I applied for the ARC and I went, oh, well, I suppose I'll make a video now and just back up the fact that obviously I want to review it as a person, but
Yeah.
that I can hopefully encourage someone else to read it because I loved that book so much. And I did it on my old account. At the same time, this is a bit convoluted. I wanted to get the slideshow feature, but my TikTok didn't update and give it to me. But it said that if you have a burner account, you swap between the two and like come out of the app at the right time. It glitches
Okay.
and it gives it to your account. Some
Okay.
weird convoluted way to get this slideshow feature. So I had this random burner account that was just sitting there. It sounds
Okay.
dodgy now, me calling it a burner account, but like it was just sitting there. And then I said, you know what now? TikTok, that app, that account doesn't know what my algorithm is. It doesn't. I don't use it. I basically have a complete clean slate. Why don't I
Okay.
just give it a go? And I always love telling people this. My first ever comment was someone telling me to never ever recommend books again. So
What?
that went well for me, I think. But yeah, my
Wow,
first ever comment
what a
was,
confidence boost.
you know, me, okay. So we're just, I was like, if the only viewer is me, and like, by the way, no one in my family knew, by the way, they did not know for about
Yeah.
5 months. Nobody
Yeah.
knew. This was like
I can
my
relate.
dirty little secret. My
Yeah.
boyfriend, who knows everything about me, was like he did not know. I had to explain to
Oh
them after a
wow.
while that I'd started getting sent books, and I was like, "Look, lads, I am not buying all of these books. I promise," because it looked
Yeah.
like I'd have no money theoretically at this
Yeah.
point. I eventually had to let the cat out of the bag. But yeah, my first ever comment, I put up a little thing being like books that got me into reading. And I got pictures on Pinterest of the books and I put up little things as to why. And it was like the Song of Achilles. Like, yeah, it was generic. But again, like I said, that's not wrong. That's not a bad thing either. Because look,
No, no,
everyone has to start somewhere. But
people
yeah,
are
they were like, look,
ruthless.
please. Do you know what I mean? I was like, girl, you don't know me. This account doesn't even have a profile picture. Okay, take a chill
Yeah.
pill. And yeah, she was like, never ever recommend books again. So whoever they are, sorry, I didn't listen. Uh, but it was just really funny because I find hate comments are actually very few and far between because I think the book
Okay.
community is quite welcoming.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I just, as comment number one, first ever one, and I'm like, oh, someone finally commented, and I
Yeah.
was like, oh, okay, okay.
That's really disheartening. I think people are just so ruthless. They
I
just don't
thought I
care.
could
They're
get
just
going,
like,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. It's nearly like they watch out for accounts to like troll them, and they're just like,
yeah.
yeah, that's wild, Emma.
It's like they
Jesus.
were waiting to hear a new one pop up. But that's the thing. Like, if you're going to make an account,
Yeah.
you like in that moment, I had two choices. I either delete the post and pretend I never posted,
Yeah.
or I just say, fuck it, let's keep going. And
Yeah.
I think like I love, whenever people say like, oh, but what if no one sees it? I'm like, exactly, no one saw it, delete it and move on. That's actually
Yeah.
not a bad
Yeah.
thing. Putting yourself
When
out there is terrifying.
it's very scary. I remember when I posted my first video and it got like, I think at the start it got like 900 views and I was nearly crying over the fact that it got 900 views, not because it done so well, because I was like, oh crap, 900 people are after seeing this. I was terrified.
When you put it into perspective, because we all become so consumed by the I'm in the 200,
Yeah.
300 jail. But
Yeah.
it's like, okay, like, was it someone said to me one day when I hit like 2,000 followers, they were like, can you imagine that many people in a room?
Yeah.
So you think these numbers are small just because we have such a big comparison to be made. But it's like, no, like imagine that many people in a room. Like that's
Yeah.
bigger than my secondary school. If I
Yeah.
stood up in front of my whole secondary school and did something that the thought of it makes me want to die, you
Yeah.
know? So like it is terrifying to put yourself out there, but you quite literally, and I always say like my advice sounds so ruthless because I'm like, you just have to do it
You
because it
do?
just gets easier. It literally
Yeah.
just gets so much easier to do it. And
Yeah.
that's the thing. You just have to rip off that bandage and accept that, oh, what if no
Yeah.
one sees it? Oh, well, then no one sees it.
Yeah, but
You know,
there's so much benefits to doing book talk. Like number one,
mm,
you get a community of women behind you that will support you endlessly. Like you get to interact with people who are reading and don't have book talk accounts, and they will always tell you they love to see your content and stuff. You get your arcs. Absolutely love the fact that I remember getting my first arc. I was on cloud nine. It was from Harper Graham, and it was the first book in the Maple Fall series. And I absolutely devoured it and I loved it. And I felt like a superstar when I got my very first arc. You know, there's so much benefits to doing book talk. You get your PR. Like, I remember my first book coming in the door. It was actually Alchemized from Penguin. And I'm not joking. It was one of my most anticipated reads last year. And then they sent it to me. And I nearly died. I rang everybody bar the parish priest. That is the truth.
oh, he has to go as well.
Yeah. There's so many benefits to actually doing book talk. And I think, like you said, if anybody is thinking of doing it, just do it. Just post the video.
Yeah,
Just
that is
absolutely
as
post the
simple
video.
as, and it's like,
Yeah.
so I always toy with myself going, will I make a video? And I think maybe I will because maybe I'll be the one person that sways someone over a seesaw
Yeah.
of deciding. But like, you just have to do it. There's
You just
not a
have to
whole
do
lot
it.
of
Yeah.
advice, like other
No.
than it's terrifying and you'll feel like you were putting yourself on a platter, but
Yeah.
the community could not be any nicer. Do you know,
No, absolutely.
it
Absolutely.
couldn't be any more welcoming.
Yeah. Just in terms of genres and stuff, which do you prefer? What type of genres do you like to read? Your content that you make on what type of genres would be your favorite?
I'll always say romance, not to reduce it. Like I love a
Yeah.
little bit of romance and I do love
Are
a bit
you
of
sports?
fantasy.
Are you sports
Sports romance,
romancer?
yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah,
love it
yeah,
as
love
like
that.
specifically that's like my micro niche that I'm like, that is
Yeah,
mine. You want a
yeah.
10 book recommendation video? I've got you. I've got it all. You want a sport? Tell me a sport. I've got tennis, I've got golf. Like sports romance is the one, I feel like I have like the dodgy coat opening it up and like I got you books like you're mad from recess.
Yeah. Heated
But
rivalry. So you were, I presume, massive heated
I'd
rivalry
read
fan.
it before it came out. I actually
Okay.
didn't know it was
Yeah.
coming out as a TV show when I read it in
Okay.
September. I was like, oh, this is a kind of fun book. And then it came out and I was
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm a personality. Thanks.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
but sports romance is my main one. But then at the same time, I love a juicy lit fic and I love
Yeah.
reading plays and poetry as well. I
Oh,
obviously drama
wow.
teacher, read a lot of it for my exams.
Okay.
So I love a
Yeah.
play. Arthur Miller is my favorite playwright. I love Arthur Miller.
Amazing.
I think if you are looking to get into reading plays, he's a very accessible author. His
Okay.
stories are juicy. That's what you need if you're getting into reading plays, because plays are a lot harder because they're not meant to be read.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, you have to accept that you are reading stage direction, but like Arthur Miller gives you enough dialogue that it's not just because some things is all like the scenes could be nearly entirely silent. So you're just reading stage direction.
Okay.
Whereas like, I think he's like The Crucible is just a juicy story. It's about the witch trials in Salem and it's just good. It's
Okay.
it's good.
Yeah.
That's not a great thing to say, Emma. It's fun. The plot moves. I've even got my boyfriend to read it who played Gap and
Wow.
read Harry Potter. So he's read it. He loves it. So
I love that.
if you're not going
I
to
love
take that,
that.
you're going to take it from him. But he, I love like reading plays and poetry as well. And that I do love my romantasy and my fantasy, but I don't give it as much of a time of day. I like to
Yeah.
savor it. I won't read every single one that comes out.
Same.
So like I haven't read one in this is my first one out of the year that I'm reading at the moment. So I read maybe 5 last year at most.
Yeah. No, I can
I'm
relate to that. I'm the
very
same.
few and far
Yeah.
between. I do
Yeah.
also find, and you can say this about romance as well. So I am kind of cautious about all it goes across all of them. I think they've become in a way formulaic and predictable, which isn't a bad
Yeah.
thing because in their
Yeah.
own right, they're still good. But I think
Yeah.
reading them en masse can be a little bit difficult because it feels a bit too samey, whereas I like breaking them up and savoring them. So like them
Yeah.
feeling the same isn't necessarily a bad thing. It just means I'm not gonna read them like back to back to back because I'll just get a bit
Yeah.
burnt out. And that's just a me thing. I'm not saying it's like inherently
No,
bad.
it's very relatable. I done the same when I started to get back into reading. I done ACOTAR and then I went straight into Throne of Glass, and Throne of Glass is a big, big series
It's a
reading.
commitment, yeah.
Oh, it's a massive commitment. And then I done Fort Wing, and then I was reading all the fantasies. I started Quicksilver and DNF'd it because my head was just so melted from all the
Yeah.
fantasy that I just needed a break. And that was
And
the
the amount of,
last
yeah,
fantasy I read.
but the amount of times I find that I wouldn't have DNF'd it if I waited, if I gave it
Yes,
time between, because
yes, yeah,
obviously, like, my ratings are like 95% of my rating is what I thought of the book, but
yeah,
maybe 5%, if not more, is how my experience reading it.
yeah,
So, if I read the book, like I got cozy on the couch, had a candle lighting, it was raining outside, like the picturesque reading evening, I'm going to
yeah,
love that. And it's a good book. That's perfect. But if I'm only able to read a book on the bus, I'm always reading it in a rush on the go. It's a good book, but it probably doesn't have the same memorable reading experience. So that's how I kind of differentiate between like a 5-star read. To me, sometimes I have to go, okay,
yeah,
was it a 5-star read, or did I just have the perfect reading experience? Because I think you have to balance
yeah,
the two. And
yeah, yeah,
sometimes reading things in like back to back to back forces me to DNF. Like funny enough, I've always DNF'd BK Barrison. I've never once gotten through one of her books, but I actually think the poor girl, I've just always read her at a really bad time. Because every time I DNF them, I'm going, I don't know why I don't like this. I can't
yeah.
come up with like an intellectual response as to why, and I'll never ever make a video unless I can explain why. Because I this
Okay,
is something I do die on the hill of. You're not reviewing a book if you just say it was good or it was bad.
okay,
I think, you have to give me a little bit more than that. I'm not
yeah,
asking for an essay. I'm not asking for like a leaving certain level analysis of the color blue. I am just saying
yeah. Give
I
me the
liked it
info.
because, yeah, I liked the chemistry between the characters. I liked the banter. I love characters with substance, a bit of baggage. There
Yeah,
was something to kind of latch on to. It felt a lot more than like a surface level. We hate each other. Actually, we don't. Happily ever after. Oh, miscommunication in the middle. I love when there's a bit more. So at least being able to
yeah,
give me more details, I'm like, that is what I want. Like this, even if it's that I hated it because he was insufferable and the
yeah,
jokes he made
yeah.
were so bad. I'm like, oh, I want to know what jokes he was making.
Yeah.
That's why I like, you can't review a book by just saying yes or no. You have to tell me why, because your no could be my yes and vice versa.
Exactly, exactly, exactly. It's just the whole thing that it's just subjective. Reading is so subjective,
Exactly,
you
yeah.
know. Yeah, yeah. Just down to book talk in Ireland and say Ireland as a culture when it comes to reading and for especially fantasy readers, dark romance readers, there's very little in Ireland at the minute. Very little. I find we have very little when it comes to events, when it comes to special editions. Like I've never, ever, ever seen. Now I know we have two Waterstones. I know we have Waterstones in Cork and we have Waterstones up in Dundalk. But apart from that, like I've not seen like any shop have any special editions. Like we're having to pay
Mm.
astronomical delivery prices for any sort of special edition book that we want, or even like book subscription.
Yeah, it's
We have
and
very
you know
little
what?
here.
We're a gap in a market because I think, obviously we can't get stuff in the US, but then like
Yeah,
you think of the UK and it's like they just forget that there's a pack of the island that
yeah,
isn't part of the UK. So as soon as they realize that, like I've often gotten emails from publishers, they've asked for my address, I've sent it to them, and I've never seen a book.
yeah.
The worst one was Happily Ever After by Hannah Grace. The publishers reached out to me to send it to me, and she's one of my
Okay.
favorite authors. And I was like, I started crying in
Delighted.
the bathroom.
Yeah,
I was in the bathroom, started crying, FaceTime my boyfriend, being like, I'm getting the author of Icebreakers book. Sure, I never saw it because it's too much hassle for them to send it.
yeah,
And they were sending me Alchemy Secrets as well, the different publishers, and I emailed them back because sometimes I do worry that they're expecting content from this, like, because they're not going to get it. And I've had to set up an address pal, but obviously because I pay for my address pal for them to send it from England, it's only a book if I really want it, because I wanted
yeah,
the chance to read all of the books, but unfortunately, it's just that gap. And like the events, I even just the events always being on in Dublin is another microaggression that I'm like, there's other
yeah.
counties.
The UK is full of them. I'm actually heading over to FFB After Dark at the end of March, and then I'm an influencer for PacifyCon in April. It's a sister event of Authors and Armors. So like there's loads of events in the UK. I'm like, please, Please bring them to Ireland, not even
Yeah,
just
we're not
Dublin.
that
Please bring
far.
them to Limerick. Like, bring them to Limerick, bring them to
You know,
Cork,
go
bring them.
central, go middle, go down Cork, lads. Cork's great, you know.
Cork is fabulous. Cork, and with Johnny Kavanagh there, okay?
I do
What
remember though when I made those videos about Boys to Towing, I was like, lads, my boyfriend played rugby in Cork, and everyone's like, oh my god, she found her Johnny. And I explained that to him, and he was looking at me like I had 10 heads, being like, are you for fucking real? um, but I was like, yeah, like you did technically play rugby, so
yeah, events wise, you attended Lauren Roberts' event in Dublin, didn't you, last year?
yeah. So what happened was they posted about it, and at this stage, I've
Okay.
kind of made a name in the sense that there's a huge bridge between Instagram and TikTok.
Yeah.
A lot of people market on Instagram and they don't really look at TikTok as big. They are now, but at the
Yeah.
time they weren't. And so I'd see it and I'd be like, oh my God, I'm going to make a video and just tell people that this is happening. I made the video for Lauren Roberts, and then Simon and Schuster actually reached out to send me to the event. So I had
Oh
two
my
tickets.
God,
So I had my own ticket and
really?
I got sent. Yeah. I always felt really bad saying that because I was on the list. So when I walked up, I had to awkwardly be like, I'm on the list. But the Irish in me
Emma!
was like, you can't be saying that. So yeah, I made the video, and
Wow.
they it was great as well. I was actually in hospital at the time when they emailed me, so it was such a lovely little
Oh,
surprise. I was like, oh, thanks guys.
I
Really needed
honestly
that.
I thought you just went to the event. Oh my God, girl, you were
Yeah,
killing it.
so
That's incredible.
it's crazy. Yeah, I started so I made videos for Jess Hastings myself,
Yeah.
bought my own ticket. I've always, gone out of my way to get my own tickets, bought my own ticket for Anna Huang, and I've kind of become friendly with Easons, I guess. So they always text me when there's
Oh,
events, and then I kind of make videos for them because like I
amazing.
think one of the best feelings when it comes to making videos and stuff is that people comment going like, you're the reason I knew this was on.
Yeah.
And someone commented, I got invited up to Stephanie Gerber as well, and I made the video, and someone commented being like, she's my favorite author and you're the reason I knew I could get tickets. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna
Oh,
cry.
yeah.
But yeah, so I went up to Lauren Roberts and I also got to ask a question. So I'm like, it couldn't have gone better. I got to ask Lauren Roberts a question. Um, any chance to keep talking really. But
What question did you ask her? I need to know.
I really wanted to know if she has a personal like we'd say swing in her writing. So she puts herself into her stories
Okay.
basically. So, if she projects any life events or
Yeah.
personality traits that she or a loved one has into a character, or if she considers everything completely organic, separate to her own life. So I was
Okay.
just really curious to know. So that's what I asked her. But
Oh
yeah, Lauren Roberts was
wow.
so much fun. It literally went perfectly. As far as a book event could go, and I went with a load of girls as well from Booktok, which made it even better. So I wasn't by myself.
Amazing.
I had like a
Yeah.
little community with me, which is lovely.
Oh, that's just incredible. Honestly, God, that's just down to the sheer work and dedication that you've put into your accounts.
Thank
Like,
you.
if that's not an example of making that video, I really don't know what is, because that's incredible.
Yeah,
I
I
honestly
bought my
just thought
ticket the
that you
day I made the
went.
video. No,
My
like that's it.
God.
I bought my own ticket the day the video went live. I text the girls, I was texting Shannon being like, we're gonna go, whatever.
Yeah.
And a few weeks later, so it would have been roughly 2 or 3 weeks later, because at the time I was kind of starting to get a bit sick. I had complications from my
Okay.
surgery, so I was re-hospitalized a month later. So I just
Yeah.
know that there was about 2 or 3 weeks in it, and I got an email from the publishers being like, hey, we know this event is on, would you like to be on the list? And I was like, oh, okay. So I have a spare ticket, guys. So yeah, they set me
That's
up to it. It
amazing.
was wild. But
Oh
yeah,
my
like
God,
I'm
that's amazing.
genuinely so grateful. Like I don't know what to say,
Yeah.
but it was so
Oh, you
because I was gonna
deserve
go
it.
anyway. This was the thing. Thank you.
You
Like I
deserve
was
it.
gonna go. I had bought my ticket. So but yeah, it was so much fun just getting to chat to other book girls there. And one or two girls came over to me being like, I follow you online. And I was like, I'm not prepared for this ambush,
Oh,
because like it was so sweet. And I just, I was so scared that I wasn't going to be, they'd be like, oh, she was a bitch, I was
yeah.
terrified
Yeah.
because I
Yeah.
got so excited and overwhelmed that I was like, oh my God. And then I'm petrified that what if I don't follow them back? And I want to follow everyone and talk to everyone. So I was panicking about that then as well, because I just thought it was really, really
No.
sweet. And I was like, oh, please, like, give me a book recommendation. Like, if you see me in person, please give me something to read. Because that's a safe thing to say to me. And we were just chatting about books with loads of different people, and it was just so cool.
Oh my God, Emma, honest to God, like I just think your life is just incredible. That's
Thank
absolutely
you.
amazing. That is what goals are. Honestly, that is goals. The fact that they actually reached out and asked you to come to this event, that is incredible.
Yeah, it was
Hayward
crazy.
Hayfest as well. You went to Hayfest, didn't you, last year? Was that in
Yeah.
England?
Yeah, in Wales.
Okay.
Sorry. So yeah,
Wow.
not in England.
No, yeah,
I
Wales.
flew into England,
Oh
technically.
wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
I may
So
get that right or somebody will comment and be like it's not
oh
England.
yeah, I got it, believe me.
My fault,
My
guys.
videos from the event went viral, and one of my things I said, I was like, oh, I landed in England and I got a taxi, and they were like, oh, look at her getting a taxi to Wales, and I was like, oh, it was all organized for me. I didn't plan the trip, but they were like, oh, she flew into the UK. Oh, I said UK, and I got loads of
Okay.
shit for that, being like, oh, she said UK and she flew into Wales. And it's like, I actually flew into England, okay? And that's why. So I flew into Bristol. So I was like,
Okay.
I was technically Mr. Worldwide. I went to 2 countries. So
Now.
that's why I said UK.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I went over to Hay Festival with TikTok back in May, which is crazy.
God.
It was
How was it as a festival? Was it like a
oh my
romance
God.
festival or was it
It's a full literature book festival.
wow?
They had everything. And I think in terms of authors, like there's some huge names. I know Maggie O'Farrell is going this year. I met Caroline O'Donoghue, their Cork author, love her. And there was a couple of different, like, how do I describe, like, some of the authors I met that I was like, oh, I really respect you as an author, I love your books. But then some of them were
Yeah.
like my authors I read as a child. Like I met Michael Maporgo and Michael Rosen, who wrote We're Going on a Bear Hunt. He's a huge personality. And I was like, you're a real person, not like a deity of some kind.
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah.
children's authors, I think, are these ethereal, magical beings.
Yeah.
So that was incredible. And then I met loads of creators that I love that were over there with TikTok as well. So we kind of all hung out together, went for dinner,
Yeah.
and creators I've been watching and kind of
Love
getting
that.
inspiration off of for a long time. Like I was drinking, Jack Edwards, he does a lot of book content,
Yeah.
like literature and stuff.
Yeah.
I was out with him and I was like, oh, I'm not going to say to you, but I follow you, because I was so shy.
Emma was
So
like, I've met it.
yeah, internally I was like, oh my God. But outside
Yeah.
I was like, do you want another glass of wine? It was the weirdest, like, oh, it was crazy.
My
Um,
gosh,
yeah.
I'm just blown away. And honestly, this is a prime example of why I wanted to do this, like sit down and chat to all the Irish content creators, because I would have not known this about you if I had not sit down and had this conversation with you. And I just think it's so incredible that this is what you can achieve when you put the work in and actually grow your account to the level that you have grown it. It's absolutely amazing, absolutely
Thank
incredible to hear
you.
about. I'm so impressed, Emma. Oh my God, you should be so proud of
Thank you so
yourself.
much.
That's
It's
incredible.
crazy. Like I I think growing up, like what I love about Book Talk is like growing up you feel like reading makes you a nerd. And I think all of us
Yeah.
attribute being like no one willingly goes into school and goes, lads, you should have the book I just finished. Like no one did that.
Yeah.
It was a
No,
case of like, no, you don't want to tell people you're reading. You just do it and you
no.
don't say it, and that's that. But
Yeah.
now all of a sudden it's like people in school that probably would have mocked me at some stage in my life, or, jokingly would have said things, are texting me being
Yeah.
like, Emma, you got me into reading. Like I've gotten a few texts from people in my life that I haven't spoken to in years being like, you're the reason I
Yep.
read again. And it's
Yeah.
like, it's normal. It's not a taboo thing. Anyone can pick up a book no matter what you
Yeah.
do, even if you play sport. Like there's no more, I think, caricature, like stereotype around it. And that's just what I love about, I've, been texting people again that I haven't spoken to in a long time. And
I
it's
think
like,
that's lovely.
yeah, and like one of the girls in my class in school that I haven't spoken to in maybe 8 years text me being like, oh, if you
Yeah.
haven't read this Frida McFadden book, you should. I think you'd love it, and text me when you do. And I was like,
So nice.
this is so sweet. Like I'm
Yeah.
genuinely so grateful.
It
It's
connects
amazing.
people. It really does connect people,
Yeah.
doesn't it? Like I've had that as well. I've had people text me, but like, oh my God, like you're doing great. Like I've started to pick up books. Like some people that I actually am friends with have started to read now as well, and they wouldn't normally read. And even in my own town, it has led me to make friends with people in the town. Like we only moved here 2 years ago, and I've met so many people through reading, even in my own locality, which is, I think it's incredible. Like it's just such a community. I like that. Like you said, when we were going to school, we never would have said that we were sitting at home reading Twilight at 10 o'clock at night, hiding the book under the duvet. But
This is
like
it. Yeah.
it's not a taboo thing anymore. It's not like people are sitting there and be like, oh my God, you're a nerd. I'm like, well, do you know what? Like you can call me a nerd if you want, but yes, I am. I'm the biggest one
Yeah.
and I absolutely
And
love
what?
it.
Like, so what?
Yeah, I'm
I
doing
have a
me
great
and I'm
time with these
happy.
made up people in my head. You
Yes,
know,
look at my library. Like I don't care. I'm happy here.
this is
It's
the thing. It's like,
yeah,
I am here. I'm having a great time. Say what you
yeah.
will. Like, I'm having a hoot. But yeah, completely like I think we're all nerds, but then none of us are
Yeah.
nerds because we're just doing our thing. And I love that. I think it's normalized it again.
Yeah, absolutely. Have you any advice for anybody that might be thinking of starting a book talk account or maybe getting into reading? Actually, do you know what I'm going to ask you, Emma? If you were to give somebody the best 5-star reading experience recommendation book that you could give them, what are you recommending?
Okay, genre wise, we're going to break it down.
Ye-
Fantasy, I'm going to go local and I'm going to say Skip Shock by Caroline O'Donoghue. Um,
Oh, okay.
Magical realism, you have or your main character Margot gets on a train that's in Kent going up to Dublin. She's going
Okay.
up to Houston, and when she gets to Mallow the train starts going a bit, there's something not right here, and the train kind of derails a little bit in her mind, like something
Oh,
goes wrong, and when the train stops she finds out that she has entered a different dimension because there is like a layered dimension to Cork, Ireland, I guess.
okay.
But she doesn't know why, and she doesn't know. She meets a traveler on the train. He's the
Okay.
only in this universe. There's only the salesmen are allowed travel between the different
Yeah.
dimensions. So he's allowed travel. She's not. She's now technically an alien, like an illegal immigrant, we'll say. And there's a lot of like real life. It's a YA book, but I think YA books are sometimes better.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of kind of like the attitudes of like she's a foreigner, she doesn't belong here. A lot of that in the world, it's divided up into dimensions with time. So the more time in your day,
Okay.
the richer you are. The shorter a day, the less affluence you have. And there's a war brewing. And then when she arrives, she tends to be a catalyst to maybe a war, maybe not a war. You'd have to read to find out. But I loved this book. They sold it early at Hay Festival, funnily enough.
Okay.
They released it early. So I got the copy there.
Wow.
And I was like, well, I have to read this now. I got it like a week before it was technically getting published.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. Love it. Um, hmm. I actually another one I got an arc of Holly Jackson's Not Quite Dead Yet, and I read it last year. And I will say,
Okay.
didn't want to give her the time of day. DNF'd Good Girl's Guide to Murder. I was just not a bit of me. And I didn't
Okay.
really enjoy any of bits I did read. That's just again, it was just me.
Yeah.
But I read
Personal
Not Quite
preference.
Dead Yet. Obsessed. Main character gets attacked. She wakes up in hospital to be told she's only got a week to live because she's developed an aneurysm that will kill
Wow.
her. So she decides to
Oh,
solve her murder.
okay.
So like
Wow.
off the bat, you're like, this is interesting. Like she's
Yeah.
been given her timeline within 2 chapters, so you know it's going to move. But there's a lot of scope and there's a lot of drama going on in like different groups in the thing. There's a lot of inner mechanisms at play. Such a fun read. I think if you're not typically reading thriller, it's a great one. Like kind of
Okay.
mystery. I loved it. Romance. Mm, this is I love a good romance. This.
I'm waiting for the heated rivalry. It's like read
Oh
about
my,
the whole
do
voice.
you know what? I'm going to derail everything because right, when the Zoom, right, this went a bit off the
Yeah.
walls and I had like a few minutes to myself there. I opened Twitter. RTE1, Radio or RTE Radio 1, is that in the right order? Your man
Um,
Brendan Carroll, right?
yes. Yes.
Someone sent him in an open letter. I'm actually going to cry thinking about this. They sent him in an open letter saying that they were a GAP player 20 years ago. And because of heated rivalry, they feel brave enough to speak out that they had their
Oh.
own inter-team romance that
Oh.
went on for 2.5 years behind the scenes, and he hasn't heard from him since. They haven't spoken since. And he
God.
just wants to know if he's doing okay. I actually can't. Oh my God. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
Emma.
You mentioned heated rivalry. I just saw that on Twitter. And
Oh my
oh my God.
God.
Just if anyone needs to know the impact that book is having, because the penman of the letter actually said, like, look beyond the sex because it's real. It
Yeah.
is raw. And I was like the thought of it now. Two lads, 21, 22, just wanted to play GA and love each other. And they had to part ways 2.5 years in.
Oh,
But yeah, heated
that's so
rivalry, guys.
hard.
Great one. Yeah,
Yeah.
heated
Yeah.
rivalry is so much more than I think because romance is still
Yeah.
such a taboo. It's smut for the women that I think that we forget to look beyond, that some of them can just be
Yeah.
raw and vulnerable.
Honestly,
Another one I
Emma, I'm not like and I would read a lot of dark romance stuff, and I love a taboo romance. I am
mm,
fully in. I'm a sucker for taboo romance, but I have pulled out with that a little bit because I was just getting myself into massive reading slumps, and I have found a love for books with zero smut
I think,
whatsoever, and incredible stories.
yeah,
Amazing.
I only like I don't mind smut. I don't have a strong opinion
Yeah,
towards it. But I do at the same time believe it's only there when it's needed.
yeah,
Don't don't just give me a random, like, obviously if it's cute, fun and flirty, hey, have their fucking moment, have this, have that. But at the same
yeah.
time, like, what happened to yearning? you know? Was it Connor's story
Yeah.
in that interview from, like, I'm actually consumed by hated rivalry. In one of his interviews, he's like, guys, what about the yearning? That's me right now. Like, give
Yeah.
me a bit of tension, if it's plot driven, if it's obviously part of they're finally together, or it's a tension release after a big event, I understand it. But I think there are times where it's become so easy to fill what would have been a novella. It's so easy to fill it with it and make it a novel. I'm a sex positive bitch. I don't, it's fine. But like at the same
Yeah.
time, I just think that sometimes we are throwing it in there for the sake of making up a word count, I would argue.
Yes.
And it's like,
Yes.
oh, sex sells. Um, you know, again, if it's there, it's there. That is fine. I've nothing against the actual act being in the books, but I think sometimes we're losing the plot, literally, and we're just putting it in for the sake of it. And that's why I'm often starting to lean towards YA books, because they do focus more on the yearning and the tension
Yeah.
build up, because
Yeah.
they know they don't have the luxury of going into detail,
Yeah. They
which
can't. They
isn't,
can't be small heavy. Yeah. They can't like with
yeah,
YA
but I
books.
don't
Yeah.
think that's a cage. I don't think
No.
that's blocking them from being
No.
good.
I totally
So
agree with
yeah,
you.
I
Yeah.
that's kind of my attitude towards smut. It's like, yeah, grand. If it's there, it's there. Like, me and my boyfriend always joke, being like, he'll be like, oh, you're off reading your book, and sometimes he peeks over my shoulder, and I say, let's not do that right now, because there'll be a lot of context to add when you do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or I'm reading on the bus and I'm like dimming my Kindle's brightness all the way down.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I'm not trying to say it's bad, at
Yeah.
no way. I'm just saying it's go crack, and it should just be there, in light
Yeah.
doses, move things along, but give me
Yeah.
more story. And like to jump
Yeah.
on into the book recommendations, then
Mm.
I had
Yeah.
read Catherine Cowell's Sparrow Fall series, and
Okay.
this is one of those books that focuses on like this. There are sex in the books, that's fine. There's 5 books in the series, and it was 5 stars all around. Obsessed with that series because
Mm.
it felt more like watching a TV drama than a romance. There was so
Okay.
much more than
Yeah.
just the romance at stake. Like they were basically all getting like shot, killed, stabbed, kidnapped, you know, um, give or take. Like, so
Yeah.
that's another, we'd say, recommendation that I would say you have to read. It's very, very good. But it doesn't, and I think one of the strong points is that it doesn't just have, because obviously the romance series, for me to be able to say, going back on what I said earlier, I binged it all in succession. I didn't stop. And that's
Yeah.
5 back-to-back books. So to have been able to do that, because there was so much more substance to the story than just like
Yeah.
start, middle, end, and loads of sex. That's that sometimes we're up for it, lads, and sometimes I want a little bit
Yeah,
more.
no, I said you can't have a small heavy book without plot. Like I need the
Mm.
plot. I need the plot. I have often like, and some really big authors as well. I have picking up their books and I have read them, and then it's like, okay, here's a sex scene. Here's a little bit of a story. Here's another sex scene. Here's a little bit
Mm.
of more story, and I rolling like I am skipping through that small. I am like, I don't want to be reading this on repeat. I want a plot. I want a story.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I'll take the smut as well, but I really want to know what's going on
I
here.
also kind of want this month to be a bit special. I want there to be,
Yeah,
when is it going to happen? I don't
not
want you to
repetitive.
give it to me. I want to work for it.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think
No,
that's
I
the best way to
absolutely
put it.
agree.
I don't want to be looking at it until like 65% in the book. If I can measure the percentage of the book that I have read,
Yeah,
65% is golden,
well, that's fair. That's
That's
fair. That's
because
fair.
that's like you've given me over half the book of yearning.
Yeah,
But theoretically, if the book is 500 pages, that is still maybe 300 pages I've
there
read.
you go.
That's still a
Yeah,
lot of, you've made me work.
yeah, absolutely.
So,
Now give me my reward.
yeah, I feel like a dog. I need like positive reinforcement.
What are your plans for this year? Are you going to any events? Are you going to attend any events this year? Book events? Are you heading across seas maybe for anything or?
I have a couple in the pipeline that are just kind
Okay.
of emails at the moment that have been sent. So
Oh, nice.
hopefully we'll see from there. One of the more exciting ones, Latitude Music Festival, reached out to me a few weeks ago. Now
Oh,
that is still up in the air. We're not going to confirm nor deny, but it's still a possibility. Which honestly, I say, like going back to the Hannah Grace book, like the fact that I have that email in my inbox is souvenir enough. That's more than
oh
enough for me. The events are a
my
bonus from that,
God.
because
You
they
are
they
killing
actually have
it.
they have a bookshop on site. I'm sorry, like imagine getting to go to like Lewis Capaldi at night and then
What?
go to a bookshop in the morning. Yeah, they have a bookshop on site. I was like,
Oh my gosh.
unreal, I know.
Emma,
So that is in the pipeline.
stop.
Because they were like,
Oh
please
my
book away
God.
the content and all this. And I was like, I'm your
That
gal,
is
I'm
incredible.
in.
Yeah.
And obviously, like, any book sightings. Like I haven't seen any yet, but I will be at them if they are there, and if I can make
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
you can know I'll be there. So I'll play it by ear. It's early in the year yet. So like I'm kind of just starting to get back into things now. And obviously I'm back working. Last year was an
Yeah.
anomaly because I wasn't working at all. So I had all the time in the world to go to
Yeah.
absolutely everything. Whereas this year I do have to be a bit more selective, but I do still plan on making content about the events. So like I love
Yeah.
doing kind of like book events that are happening regardless of whether or not I'm going. This is the big thing, is that I just want people to know they're on, because there's a
Yes.
huge portion of people that just don't realize authors are coming to Ireland. So
Yeah.
I'll still be making all those kind of videos as well.
And I
And then
really think you
hopefully,
need to, Emma,
mm,
because honestly, like I didn't even know about the Lauren Roberts or Stephanie Garber until you made the post. So like like
oh
honestly,
really?
I wouldn't
Okay.
have. Yeah, honestly, Hannah Mahart, like I didn't realize that they were even coming to Ireland. I actually ended up getting a copy of, say, Quicksilver signed right down in Easton's in Athlone, and I didn't realize for a solid year that it was actually signed. Callie Hart actually done a tour in Ireland for the release of Quicksilver, and I didn't even know about that. Like it's so this is what I mean when it comes back to the whole, like there's no awareness about anything that's going on in the book talk world in Ireland. It's so
Yeah.
frustrating because I
We're like
really
our own
would have
little
gone to
black
these
hole.
things, like yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. I think we all want it. Like you can see by Eason selling out all of these events that we want them,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And it's a shame that it's so hard. Sometimes we have to wait for them to come to the UK and then hope they'll come here, because it's very hard to
Yeah.
expect someone to come all the way from the US to
Yeah.
Ireland. Even though they'll sell it, it's like if you're only doing one single city in Ireland and then going back over, it's probably not like of value to them, even though it would be of value to me. But
I know, and I don't understand how it's gotten like that, because I can remember as a child, like even say Order of the Phoenix, right? When that was released, I can
mm,
remember queuing for that book in the bookshops and the queue would be out the door. Like I can remember the signings. There was like always things going on, and it just seems that down to the
yeah,
years, like it's just gotten lesser and lesser and lesser. And authors like are not wanting to nearly come to Ireland. Like I actually seen a post on TikTok recently, and it was an author in America, and she was literally calling out all the Irish book talkers,
I
and she
saw
was
that
like,
video. Yeah.
yeah, she was
Do
like,
you
can you
want?
please let me know if you want me to come? She was like, is it
Mm,
worth my while? Where would I go? Like, what counties would I go to? And I'm like, oh my God, is this why we are not getting the authors that we want in?
yeah.
You
Like we're
know?
though we be but little, we are fierce, we're here.
Yes,
um
absolutely.
and it's such a shame.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Do you have any, we'll give you the last question. Do you have any advice for anybody that is wanting to start a book talk account?
I think the first thing, obviously we've touched on, just make the video, so I'm going to
Yeah,
go a bit beyond that. If you have a creator you love,
yeah,
if they're whoever that is, there's obviously a reason you love them. And if you feel kind of attracted to that style of content, that's okay. There's so many different ways that you can join Book Talk. You can go behind the camera and have you holding the books. You can do the books laid out on the bed. You can just take pictures. You can sit and chat. You can
yeah,
do yes, no, maybes. There are so many different types. I love kind of varying. I love doing vlogs. They're my favorite thing to do, is like, come to this bookshop with me, come to this one.
yeah,
And find the content that you like, find the content creators that you like. And I'm not saying copy or plagiarize, but feel inspired. If you love watching this person and they love doing this style of video, then I would say copy their style of content.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Who is your favorite? Can I ask you, do you have a favorite book talker in Ireland at the minute? Have you got a favorite influencer?
Hmm. I think you see, I love like Jack
Now, they
Nicholas was
don't have
always
to be
one.
Irish. Yeah,
This
we'll just say
yeah.
it broadly.
Oh my god. I love actually Jed McKenzie, Silly Little Books.
Okay, yeah,
Love her. I've been following her for about a year and a half now. Absolutely love her.
yeah.
She's so much fun.
Her account is
And
amazing.
it's so lovely. She's the
Yeah, yeah,
sweetest girl to talk to. I love a lot of the girls I met at Hay, like Francesca's books. She does thrillers. She is so sweet. And like she's great for thrillers, because I love watching her like beginner thriller videos, because I'm like, I don't really read them.
yeah.
Please give me like beginner friendly, like non too off the wally books. Oh my god, I feel up because I want to say everyone. Like I know Shannon, that I follow, that I'm friends with on TikTok. I
Yeah.
love her videos as well.
Sean's
She was
incredible.
spinning with
The
heels. She's
work,
had such
yeah.
a strange username, so I can't remember what it is now. The same with, is it Laura the Explorer? Is that her use? Why do I've got people's usernames in my brain, but not their actual handles, their
Yeah,
names
I know,
behind the
I know.
Laura.
It's so hard, isn't it? Because you're like, I know this person, but I'm like, what is their tag on what is their username? I'm like
Yeah,
that as
and
well. Yeah, yeah,
Nicola as well. I love Nicola's
yeah,
content. Yeah,
Nicola's
like
amazing. Yeah.
I love. Oh, actually, Shannon, my another Shannon, Dev Reeds. She's really sweet.
Oh,
Um,
Shannon Devine. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Amazing.
I met her at. We were both invited up to Hinterland Festival in June, I think, and I met her there, and we went to a Jane Austen. It was so cute. It was an AI versus non-AI Jane Austen, and we had to guess
Yeah.
which one was which one was AI. So the two of us were like terrified we'd get it wrong, like hyperventilating, being like, "Do you think it was this one? Do you think it was that one?" Like so scared we'd get it
Yeah,
wrong because they
yeah.
basically did like a synopsis of Pride and Prejudice, and we had to guess
Okay.
which version was AI. So
Yeah.
Shannon is so sweet, and I love her videos as
Lovely
well.
girl. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that resonates. Like the girls on BookTok are so lovely that I could just tell from their videos that I'm like,
Yeah.
I want to be your best friend,
I know.
you know. And like that's what I love about the Irish girls. So
Yeah.
yeah, I could keep going now because I'm on a roll. So I'm going to cut myself off because there's so many I want to say.
So Emma, can I have your last now next? What was your last, your now, and your next read?
I just finished Yellow Face by Orif Kwong. Phenomenal,
Okay.
so good. I hated the main character from page one, which is exactly what she wants.
Okay.
And the whole way through, because if you don't know what Yellowface is about, it's about we have two authors. We have our author from China and we have our
Okay.
author. I think it's China. The idea is that the one of the authors dies and the other author steals her work and publishes it as an racially ambiguous person. So she
Yeah.
pretends to be Asian, essentially,
Okay.
to
Okay.
get the kind of like minority diversity position in the publishing house. Obviously, that's absolutely appalling. Like, don't get me wrong, that is a bad thing ultimately.
Yeah.
And you hate her, you despise her
Okay.
for this. So, obviously, the whole way through the book, you're like rooting for her downfall,
Yeah.
which made it that little bit more addicting to read. So, I loved that book. I am currently reading The Rebel and the Rose, which is the second book in the City of Phantom
Oh.
trilogy by Catherine Doyle. It is
Okay.
Irish author, fantasy series, the coolest magic system I've read in a long time. You have like, it's basically like an opioid plant that can be turned into a thing called shade, and shade can be used two
Wow.
ways. If you ingest
Okay.
it, you become an assassin. It like heightens your ability to blend in with the shadows. But if you wear it, you become a shadow, and you can like the cloaks. Then the other side,
Mm.
like the Blood and the Crips, the cloaks are the robbers. They're thieves.
Okay.
So you have the assassins and you have the thieves who are both using shade. And then you have our main character, Seraphine, who kind of comes into things and is like, her mom gets murdered in the first chapter. She says, go to the cloaks, they'll look after you. She ends up in the cloaks and she gets marked, meaning she's told she is about to be killed. Like the mark is essentially the assassin has
Yeah.
marked you to be the next to die. And her assassin comes after her. And her assassin is quite fun. And a lot happens from there. I'm just going to leave it there because I think you need to read the first book to really, really get into it. I'm not going to touch the second one because
Yeah.
that's not fair.
Okay.
But it is phenomenal. It's so fun to read and
Yeah.
it's so fast paced that you literally just can't stop reading, you know?
Okay.
So that's what I'm currently
Um.
reading. And I think my next book is going to be Half His Age by Jeanette McCurdy.
Okay.
I just got it on holidays. I was in Vienna and I happened to book my hotel right next door to Shakespeare and Company,
I've
which
seen
is a
that.
very well known English bookshop. And I was like, I said to my boyfriend, I swear I didn't plan this, I promise. But it's okay because the pubs were next to that then again. So it
That's
was
okay.
like, okay, everyone
Compromise.
wins.
Yeah.
You know, you get some, I get some.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to read that next because I
Fabulous.
think I'm feeling a bit insatiable since I read Yellowface. I just want to sink my teeth
Okay.
into another character that I'm not necessarily meant to like.
Yeah.
And that's what I've heard about Half His Age. So that's why I'm feeling like I'm gonna, I don't know, satiate
Okay.
myself with
So
that
Emma,
one
we are
next.
going to run and do some just quick fire questions before we finish up your interview, if that is okay.
Of course.
These are all kind of book related, so I hope they're okay for you. So we will start. Hardcover or paperback?
Paperback hardcovers are just a nuisance, lads. Lovely to have, awful to read.
Reread or one and done?
One and done, but that doesn't mean I don't go back and read my favorite chapters from time to time.
Fair.
But I won't dedicate
Uh,
start to finish.
Fair. No, that's fair. Name an overhyped book.
Name an overhyped book.
Yeah. Have you got an overhyped book?
I do, and I'm trying to think now because there's definitely one I was just talking about recently that I was like giving out about that I was going, no one can hear me. Okay, I'm gonna be that person. I'm Throne of Glass.
She's breaking my heart. She's breaking my heart.
Lads, I'm sorry. I gave it like
Oh
four
my
books.
god.
Okay.
Emma, I have a tattoo. I have a tattoo for Throne of Glass, girl.
I don't know. I can see why people. I can see why. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a commitment.
I
It's a commitment.
just. It is, and I got 4 books in, and I think my biggest flaw was the fact that people kept going, "Just give it 2 books, and you'll love it." And I'm going, if I have to read 2 fat ass books to then like a series, it, it's just
Did you read Assassin's Blade first or third?
not at all. I kind of just didn't bother because so originally I heard reading it like third, but then by the time I got to the third book, I forgot and I just kept going. And then by the time I decided, I was like, you know what, this is not for me. I feel so controversial now. I feel really bad, but it's just, lads, I
Oh,
read
that book
Act
is
and I
so
liked Act.
important. That
I
book is
know,
so
and
vital. It
it
ties in the
is.
whole series, so it needs to be read first. I always say it. It needs to be read first.
I
That's okay.
didn't get. I no doubt that could have changed my experience because, like I said, the experience of reading
Yeah,
is can change how
yeah,
you love a book.
yeah,
But I think I just got fatigued by it. There
yeah.
was
It's
so
a
much going
commitment.
on. I think so much got introduced. Another one would be what was the third book? Onyx Storm. I read.
Yes, thank
I read
you,
Onyx Storm,
thank
and
you.
it was
Oh,
like
Emma,
I
thank you for making me
no
feel heard. Thank you.
yeah. See, I just felt like I loved Fourth Wing.
Yeah,
Really did enjoy it. I read Iron Flame. I liked it. I didn't viscerally hate it as much as everyone else did. I just felt like it could have been shorter. That was kind of my only
yeah,
big thing from reading it. But
yeah.
then I was really excited for Onyx Storm. And within like 50 pages, I was like, why does this suddenly
What's
feel
going
like
on?
this way more complicated high fantasy?
Yeah,
Because I think she tried to do a little bit of everything. She tried to be
yeah,
Brandon Sanderson. She tried to be the over the top author, but also keeping the romanticy, cute, fun, flirty, will they, won't they? And
yeah.
it just didn't work. And I think
No,
expecting me to feel for a character or be commanded by a character that you've mentioned once 2 books ago isn't going to work. And I think that's what, and I think the
yeah,
people who had the time and the energy to reread both books before it, or maybe you've had the luck of only starting to read them now and you have read them in succession, you would have a very different experience. But I just went, oh, I remember everything from Iron Flame. It was a good book. I know where
yeah.
we've left off. But then all of a sudden, I had a whole separate regal system looking at me going, who the bloody hell is this queen?
Not just
Do you
you,
know?
girl. Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, that's
Not just
another
you.
one, I think.
Oh,
Yeah.
I
Didn't
agree
realize
with
how
you
visceral that was,
wholeheartedly.
but yeah,
I love that you've
thank
said
God.
that because I felt the very same.
Mm.
I feel heard. I feel heard. The best book to screen adaptation. Best book to screen, kind of.
Okay, obviously Heated Rivalry is the most recent one that's
Yeah.
on my mind right
Yeah.
now. That's fine.
Okay. That's okay. Yeah, that's
And
okay.
like The Hunger Games is a classic. Love her too.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Um, yeah. Red, White, and Royal Blue, I think, is one of those rare cases where I enjoyed the movie more than the book.
Okay. Yeah, that's amazing.
Love Red, White, and Royal Blue. Red, White, and
Okay.
Royal Blue. Obsessed.
Love that.
Yeah, I think they're the main ones that I've read in recent
Yeah,
years that I'm like, yeah.
that's amazing. Best reading snacks.
It needs to be something that isn't too in the way of turning the page. So I'm gonna go
Yeah.
with like it needs to be popcorn because I try eating chocolate, but then sometimes it gets in your fingers and it might end up on a page. And it's just a bit of a whole thing. A cup of tea,
Cup
and
of
then
tea. Yeah.
you can't go wrong with a cup of tea.
No, no.
Um, like a nice biscuit, a nice little
Yeah.
bit of Kimberly.
Yeah.
That would be nice.
Love that. Love
Because you
that.
could eat the
Love that.
Kimberly over the course of the 2 pages and be ready to
Yes.
turn. I sound very picky here, lads. I'm actually much more type B than I sound.
No, I love that. I love that. That's just so classic Irish people, isn't it? You can't read your book without the cup of tea. We have to have the tea and the
Yeah.
Kimberleys. Like a book that has changed your life. And if you don't have one, that's okay. That's all.
No,
That's also
I
okay.
think I think it's not really a good book unless it changes something about you.
Yeah.
Because reading changes you. And I think reading breeds
Mm.
empathy. You're in so many different shoes that you'll never be
Yeah.
in real life,
Yeah.
Um I read A Little Life, and I know that's a controversial one to say, and it is quite a divisive book, but I do fall onto
Okay.
the side that I really liked it. I'm aware of
Okay.
its criticisms, and I agree with some of them, but there was so much about the character, and my takeaway from it is that, life is short, but it can be pretty in
Yeah.
between the parts that aren't.
Yeah.
I thought that book was I was just staring at a blank wall. I read Shy in January by Max Porter, the book that was actually turned into the movie Steve with Cillian Murphy.
Okay.
An
Yeah.
amazing book. It follows like a very troubled teenager and you're just living in his head, but his head is not a good place. And it was just such an interesting depiction. And
Yeah.
if you work with kids, if you have kids, I think it's a great one. Um, but I'm
Yeah.
gonna come away from this and be so angry that I missed something here because
That's okay.
the Song of Achilles, adore.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could keep going, so I'm going to stop. But
Your favorite bookshop to visit?
there's two in Cork. So there's Vibes and Scribes. They have
Okay.
the secondhand shop and then they have the new shop. It can be on the pricier side, but when you're buying books, I think for me, especially with my Kindle, if I'm buying a book in person, I'm intentionally buying the book.
Yeah.
So I don't mind. Like I make sure that I'm in the position to do that month. And then there's another one, Leaf and Bower in Ballincollig.
Fab.
And it's like a tiny little hut. It's very small and quaint and it's adorable. And the bookshop owner, I end up spending about 40 minutes in there because we talk so much, which adds to the experience. It's like part of going in there. It's a rite of passage.
Yeah. Who is one author that you would love to meet?
Michael Morpurgo is one from my childhood.
Oh, wow.
I just
Okay.
he did so much for me as a child reading. I couldn't get over reading him.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I just think the authors, when you're kids, they're giving you magic, they're giving you this imagined story in your mind. As we get older, we grasp the concept of making a book, but as a child, you don't know what it's like, what goes into making a book.
Yeah.
So I think all childhood authors just have that special air of magic that you're like, you just have this brain that gave me this magical adventure. I think that's crazy. My favorite romance author is Ali Hazelwood. I love her.
Fab.
I've always had a good time. I know so her books aren't for everyone, but I've nearly always had like a great time reading her books. She's a good, reliable one for me. So I'm gonna go. She's my favorite romance author, and yeah, I'd love to meet her and rack her brain and be like, "How are you a scientist and an author, and like also like have a social life? Or do you have one? Like I'd love to rack her brain to be like, how'd you do it all, babes?"
Yeah. Well, Emma, thank you so much for coming on and having the chats with us. I am absolutely over the moon that you've come on, and thank you so much for sharing all the information with us. Oh my God, you have an incredible life, and congratulations on your success with your Booktoks account. And
I really appreciate it.
Thank you for everything that you do for the Irish Booktok community, because you're incredible. You really are.
That means the world. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
because even things like this do so much for books as well. So obviously this is so important. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks a million, Emma. Bye.